ready to learn with us on Bass University Live. Bass University Live starts now.
Welcome back to Bass University Live, everybody. Thank you for joining us again tonight. We have a great show lined up for you today. We're talking to Jacob Wall, pretty fresh off of a second place finish down there at the Ultimate Angler World Championship on Lake Guntersville in Alabama. We're going to be talking to him about how he found his way to nearly the top of the mountain in that tournament. Second place finish. Great finish any way you slice it, and he did it in a way that's super, super fun. The punch bite. We all love that at Bass University, and we're going to talk about that today, including some little sneaky tricks you can do when you're punching to help you get through the mat, get that extra bite, and get that fish out there, out of the mat and into your boat. So before we dive into that, I wanted to say thanks to the companies that support us and help us keep bringing this show to you guys every single week. Cash and Fishing Rods, Sanford, North Carolina, American-made quality fishing rods. Couldn't do it without them. Redfin polarized optics, guys. See more when you're out there on the water. Keep your eyes protected and just look good. They're great frames. Johnson Outdoors, Humminbird Minn Kota. Thank you to those folks over there for making the best trolling motors in the game, bar none, and some of the most user-friendly electronics that money can buy at every price point. And of course, Thump Gel. We're going to be talking to Jacob Wall today about maybe some of the roles that Thump Gel played in his finish down there at the Ultimate Angler event in Guntersville, Alabama. So with no further ado, let's bring him right on, our guest of today's show. Jacob Wall, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm not coming off of a second place finish at the Ultimate Angler World Championship, but I'm excited to be talking to you today because you have that accomplishment.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty awesome week of fishing. Going into the tournament, I've lived on or around Guntersville here for the last 6.5, 7 years, and so I've had quite a bit of experience on the lake. Lots of different times of the year. It's funny because going into this tournament in the fall, I had a few people ask me, oh, well, it's your home lake. How do you feel? You've had a lot of success on Guntersville in the past. You should probably feel pretty good about it, huh? And I was like, man, I feel good about it, but at the same time, like that time of the year, that fall, grass bite, especially without forward-facing sonar that time of the year, a lot of the bigger fish are out there chasing bait already. And I was like, man, it's just not something that I feel like I can excel at. I felt like I could go do well. I felt like I kind of had an idea of what to go do to catch, pretty solid weight to make the, top 50. I felt like I could do that. But yeah, my finish exceeded my expectations. Just kind of proved to myself, I guess, that I do know the lake better than I was giving myself credit for, even that time of the year. And I sort of put together a game plan ahead of time, and I just executed on that game plan. What I was doing was not fishing for a quantity of bites. There's a lot of fish that time of the year already schooling and chasing bait, and you can go get a bunch of bites. Throwing top waters, spinnerbait, chatterbait, jerkbait, that kind of stuff. And I knew that. And if you want to just go generate the most amount of bites possible, that's a great way to do it. But I took a different approach for sure, and it paid off big time.
It absolutely did. I mean, you just started to tease at some there, Jacob, that you've had a lot of experience on the lake on Guntersville over the last few years because you live in North Alabama and it's a great body of water to fish. So why wouldn't you want to be out there as much as possible? But talk to us a little bit about how you unlocked the pattern that you ended up fishing for this tournament.
Okay, so I mean the matted grass, flipping frog and bite in on Guntersville in October, November, September through, I should say, like early November. It's like the primo time of the year to do it. That's typically when you're seeing the largest, five fish getting caught out of the grass. The ledge fishing is pretty well over when you get into like early September. I mean, there's still some fish out there on those shell bars and stuff, but it's pretty much done. So a lot of the bigger ones, you can start to see get caught out of the grass. As of the last 2 to 3 years, we realized that hey, a lot of them actually stay out. They pick up off the bottom and they start floating around, suspending around bait. Those aren't your flipping fish or your frogging fish. That's a whole different ball, of wax trying to catch those fish. But um, as far as a non-forward facing sonar tournament, I knew that fishing matted vegetation was going to be a big player. I felt like I put myself in a position where I may not get as many bites, but my bites were going to be bigger. My average size was going to be better, and it would give myself a legitimate opportunity to catch 20 plus pounds a day, which I felt like if I could catch 20 plus pounds a day, I'd be in good standing. So that was my goal. I mean, that was it. I went out there with the mindset of, hey, I'm going to fish for big fish from the start of the day to the end of the day. I'm not fishing for points. I'm not fishing for, standings in angler of the year. I'm literally just fishing for one big paycheck. And so that was the goal, and that was what I did. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, through each day, it had its ups and downs. It changed. The first day looked different than the second, and the third looked different than those other 2 days. So just a cool event, how it all came together, but definitely really a mentally challenging tournament as far as like how I had to like lock down mentally into what I was doing and tell myself that, hey, this is the right thing to do. Like, don't lose confidence. Don't start to like fade out like your confidence in your pattern or your idea ahead of time. Just stay true to what it is that I had put together in my mind before I went out there on the water and just do it. I mean, it was that final day of the tournament. I caught 5 keeper bass. I want to say scorables
Wow.
because I've been fishing for scorables for the last
Yeah.
few years on the Bass Pro Tour, but
Yeah.
keepers, 5 keepers is all I caught. I started my day out with like a 4 pounder on a frog. I think I weighed 2 bass on a frog all week, and 13 of them came flipping, an ounce and a quarter weight through a mat. So
Gotcha.
uh, that final day, I only caught 5 keepers though. So that goes to show you how tough it was.
That's a scary proposition for any tournament angler to walk to the deck of your boat that day. And if someone was just going to tell you like, hey, you're going to catch 5 bass today, they're all going to be real nice ones, but you're only going to catch 5.
Yeah.
That is, or you're only going to get 5 bites. Call it that rather, because then that's where all the things can start creeping in of, well, if there's not perfect execution on one of those 5 fish, it's a totally different outcome on the day,
Yeah.
which is just absolutely wild. But bringing you back to, you mentioned that you were punching.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, was that so first morning of practice? Was the punching
Mhm.
rod the first rod in your hand the first morning of practice? And if not, how long did it take you to get to knowing that, okay, this can go down with this rod in my hand?
Okay, so like I said, I've lived around the lake for a while, and I've fished the lake a lot. Like I spend a lot of time out on the water. I just know historically that this time of the year punching is a really big deal.
So you
I
were
just
looking
I
for
just
that.
yeah, I
You
just I just know I just know that from history of this lake.
right,
But
right.
um so I actually started down the lake. I actually started my practice down the lake, and I tried to find places that I could catch schooling fish that were going to weigh somewhere between 15 and 18 pounds for 5 that I could put them in the boat fast. I wanted to try to find something like that. That way I had a little bit more of a buffer before I went up to go put my, hand in and flip in all day for less bites. So
Mhm.
that was kind of my initial game plan was, hey, let me put together an area that I can catch, a decent limit of fish, give myself, even though it's not a points tournament, I just always fish better when I've got, that kind of weight or just have a solid limit in the box. I mean, I think we all have just a little bit more peace of mind going fishing for less bites when you already have 5 in the box.
Yes.
So that was kind of my initial plan of attack in practice. I found a pretty good place that first day of practice, right at the end of the day, that I felt pretty good about. That had schooling fish like that. Come to find out, the second day of practice, we only had 2 days. The second day of practice, I went flipping. I did that all day. I got less bites, but my average size was much better. I had,
Right.
better weight for my five that I ended up catching, just poking around, flipping, punching
Yeah.
through some different stuff. And
Yep.
so that kind of solidified in my mind that, I knew that that was something that I could go do.
Right.
Um, that first day of the tournament, I ran all the way down to the 431 bridge, just above the 431 bridge down there. And I started on that place that I found those schooling fish, and I fished it for about 45 minutes, and I caught three non-keeper fish.
Got
And
it.
I was like, oh my gosh, like it doesn't feel active. It doesn't feel like anything's feeding.
Right.
There was a big bass tour tournament going on out of the state park down there on the lower end during the same exact time frame, and there
Yeah.
was like six of those dudes in different boats out there,
Right.
two guys on each boat, and so it was just getting that whole area was getting absolutely throttled, and
And that
um,
just
so that
pushed you to the ultimate how you got it done, right? The punch and bite. You got away
it
from that
did
on the first day.
it did, yeah. I mean, I just ran up the lake. I said, all right, forget this. We're going up the lake. I ended up catching three keepers poking around on the lower end.
Yeah.
Ran up the lake. My first bite I caught through a mat was a 5.5 pounder, and I was like, all right, this locks in that this is what I'm gonna do.
Right. So there's a lot to unpack there, and I want to come back to the punching. I want to talk about your bait and why you chose this specific shape, but I just wanted to make a note of something here, Jacob. Um,
Sure.
what you just described that you got down to your limit spot early, and you said you spent what, about 45 minutes there.
45 minutes probably, yeah.
So that's one of the things that as a student of the game and as a fisherman myself, I find so often that separates the great anglers from the good anglers from the not so good anglers. I don't want to be mean, but is that ability to, when your intuition says something is off, this is not right, the fish are not behaving the way they did yesterday, even
Yep. Yep.
go. If you have fish somewhere else, trust your gut and go. Like, I've been a
Yeah.
victim of it so many times where I've spent 4 hours fishing for
Mhm.
fish that weren't acting right in the back of some canal, and then you go to the crankbait fish and you catch a fish on your first cast. So it's like that trusting of your gut. And you just described that perfectly. And I wanted to note that because it's so important. And it's easy to say, hard to do is trust your gut when you know you have other fish to go to that you can go to them and catch them. So I wanted to make a note of that. But back to the punching bite, because I do want to dissect that whole pattern.
Yep.
What was your bait that you were punching with? Your soft plastic, and why do you choose that bait?
Okay, so I got my rod, reel, line, all this stuff
Yeah,
sitting right here next to me,
talk
but
about all
I'll focus on the bait. So I was using your standard flipping bait. I mean,
the
this is been a
reaction.
staple, and yeah, it's been a staple in bass
Okay,
fishing since I was a little guy getting into it.
makes my heart
Sweet beaver, nothing fancy here. Color is just laminate black, blue, green pumpkin. I think they call it tramp stamp, but all it
happy.
is black and blue, green pumpkin laminate.
Yep.
I prefer something dark when I'm going through the mat. I feel like it gives a better silhouette. It's already dark up under there. I mean, you could kind of go the opposite. You could go bright, but I've always just gone dark. I mean, everywhere I flip, whether it's Alabama, Florida, California Delta on the West Coast, I've always done better flipping a darker color. So dark color, just a 4/0 standard flipping hook. I've kind of gone back and forth on different hooks. I always tend to kind of come back to this hook. I have had some issues with it opening up a little bit, but I feel like I get better penetration with it. I'll just use the owner jungle hook. It's a little thinner gauge than your standard, like heavy wire flipping hook, but like I said, it's got that slick coating on there. It's a little thinner. I think it gets a little bit better penetration if you get a weird hook set on them. And then just an ounce and a quarter. And Mikey Balls, I started fishing with him like 5 or 6 years ago, and Mikey showed me the double bobber stop, and that's something that I've done ever since. Double bobber stop. I think it helps hold your weight onto your bait a little bit better over, flip after flip after flip, especially when you're using Thump Gel. A little bit of that Thump Gel will get on your line, and it'll make that bobber stop move easier. And so double bobber stop locks that down a lot better. It also, if you're, moving it up and down on your line throughout the day, sometimes you'll burn one off. So it gives you one extra on there if you're, not having, to retie. But that was it, man. I mean, super simple. I felt like the ounce and a quarter was a key. A
Yeah.
lot of guys were flipping ounce and a half, ounce and three quarter. I even heard some guys talk about 2 ounce.
Yeah.
I think you can go a little bit overkill, with it. I was just trying to get my weight to go through. One thing about Guntersville is, so what I was doing was flipping the back channel grass. So like there's two different types of mats. I consider it two different types of mats on Guntersville. You've got the main river mats, which are right against the river channel edge up there around, the BB Comer Bridge and between the Comer Bridge and like Goose Pond, even down past Goose Pond, like towards waterfront, you have main river mats of grass, which are going to butt up against the river channel. Those mats always are going to be denser because of the current. So like you're going to get that river current that flushes against the sides of these grass mats, which is then going to condense that grass and make that thicker and harder to penetrate through. So if you're trying to punch the main river grass mats, you almost need an ounce and a half at a minimum. You could go heavier, but I personally, this is a little thing that I'll let you guys in on that I don't really tell a lot of people this.
Oh
I
yeah.
do a smaller bait. So like instead of increasing my weight, I'll go to a smaller bait. I've actually like 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, there was a tournament, memorial tournament for this guy named Kyle Mabry on Guntersville here. And I won that tournament with a buddy, Garrett Warren, and we were punching the Gambler BB cricket, that tiny, tiny little, BB cricket. It's like a 3-inch craw bait, putting it on an ounce and a half weight, and it goes straight through that main river grass. You're not having to finagle it. You're not having to sit there and shake it over and over and over again. You're not having to do it multiple times to try to get it go through. You put it on top of the mat and it just goes through pretty much instantly. So I'll do ounce and a half main river grass where it's denser. And then what I did in the ultimate was I was actually flipping the back channel. So like the stuff that was on the inside of the main river mat. So it was behind that. It wasn't that main river edge. And so that still gets a little bit of current flow, a little bit of moving water, but it's not as dense. And
Right.
that's where I was using an ounce and a quarter. I feel like that's all you really need. Could you use an ounce and a half? Absolutely. Did I need to? No. I think this ounce and a quarter was sufficient.
Right. Talk about your rod reel line, action, rod tip, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the line is something that I've gotten into over the last, couple of years. I actually just linked up with these guys a couple of years ago. This is Cortland Master Braid. They're based out of the United States. They manufacture all this braided line in upstate New York. I got to look at, go to their facility and kind of tour their facility. They've got all these machines that are there braiding this line, and then they've got a dyeing facility. It's really cool. They do it all in house, all in the United States. All done right there. And it's what's super cool about this line is they do really big spools. They make these huge spools. It takes forever to make a really, really big spool line with their machines. And if they have any kind of an issue, like if something, there's like a little mistake in as it's braiding, they stop it right there, and then they break that down. What they have on their big spool, they break that down into smaller spools. So they're never splicing. They're never fixing it and then continuing to go. It's always like good from the start to the finish. And if it's not, then they're cutting it and they're putting it in 200-yard spools. They're taking what they got that was good and putting it in 200-yard spools. So
yeah,
I mean, super quality, super quality line. I'm really, really happy with this stuff. But yeah, I was using, I was actually 50 pounds. So I was using a 50-pound braid, a lot lighter than what you might, think would be necessary to punch grass. But I felt like the 50-pound was thinner, quieter. It kind of went hand in hand with my ounce and a quarter. It helped it go through just a little bit better. Not as stiff as a 65 or an 80, and plenty strong enough. And quiet, I think, is a big deal. The thinner diameter, a little bit quieter going through the mat. I felt like that was a big deal. So that was my line setup. 8.5, or what is this? Yeah, 8:5 to 1 gear ratio, super fast gear ratio reel, just a Corrado. I mean, I've been using these things forever, right? Corrado's a good reel. Rod is a Ducket rod. This is actually one that I started messing around with before the tournament. Um, before it went off limits, I should say. I was spending all kinds of time out there flipping, trying different stuff.
Right.
I used to flip on a 711 black ice Ducket, but it's a good rod for it, really powerful, big long rod. But I noticed after doing it for like 4, 5, 6, 7 hours straight, I started to feel a little bit of fatigue in my wrist and my arm. This is a 7.7 heavy, so it's just a little bit shorter
Right.
than that 711, a little bit more balanced in my hand, and it allowed me to make more flips throughout the day without feeling as fatigued. So that was my setup, man. I mean, that's what got it done. That was, like I said, 13 of my 15 fish came on that setup right there. And then I'll jump into it. I'm sure you're going to ask me about it next, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the Thump Gel, man, this stuff it literally just came out like I want to say a couple weeks before the Ultimate Angler, maybe a few weeks before the Ultimate Angler. And I've been using Thump Gel for a few years now, and I'm a firm believer that the flash, the color, and the scent combined attribute to
Yeah.
getting more bites. Whether it's, am I going to sit here and tell you that it gets you 15 more bites throughout the day? Absolutely not. Do I think it helps you get a couple extra bites throughout the day? 100%. Like I put it on there and I've thrown my bait out in the water where I know there's some fish that aren't active, and immediately I'll trigger a bite. And I mean, it could be after making multiple casts without it on there and not getting a bite, put it on there, immediately trigger a bite. So I've seen that time and time again. I've seen it with suspended fish on forward facing sonar where you put some on your bait, you'll throw at the same fish you've been throwing at, and one will commit to it. So it definitely helps me, confidence wise, get a few more bites throughout the day. Monty just came out with Monty's the owner of Thump Gel. He's the one that's the mastermind behind all this stuff.
The
And
master.
he just he just came out with this stuff here. This is the green glow. This is what I was actually using in the Ultimate Angler. I wasn't really sure what to know, what to expect on it. I thought it was like more of like a night fishing thing. I didn't really know. I was like, okay, glow, like, use it when it's dark. Well, when Monty started telling me about it, he's like, no, like try it when try it when you're flipping, try it when you're fishing under a dock, try it when you're throwing it in any dark place. I started, putting two and two together. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. It helps your bait stand out a little bit more. So what it does is the sun will charge it. I keep it on my little lanyard here, clipped to my belt loop, and the sun will charge that stuff throughout the day. And then you just put a little bit of it on your bait. I was doing this throughout the whole tournament, putting it on my beaver, and I'd flip it in that mat, and it was just something different. I mean, they're eating bluegill, they're eating shad, they're eating a lot of bait fish under these mats. Just like they're eating crayfish if they see them. So this, I think, really mimics your bait fish. It gives it that flash, that shine, um,
Right.
something totally different than what everyone else was doing, though. Like,
Yeah.
I
That,
don't think anyone else was doing that.
right. I mean, I'm a believer in scent and that style of scent. And before, I'm just going to make a comparable here to, show that I'm not just blowing smoke, is that before there was Thump Gel, I've used in the past stuff like Liquid Mayhem, which is it's that
Hmm.
same base of like scent. And I'm not I don't necessarily think like, okay, they absolutely always smell it. But what I can say is that if you if you catch a bluegill or you catch a shad or you catch a crappie, a lot of times they ain't a perfect painted portrait picture of a fish. They have blemishes, they have spots, they have stuff that make them irregular that looks natural. And
Yep.
I sometimes think that a lot of those extra strikes that you get come from that. And exactly what you just said, Jake. You're making your bait look a little bit different, and it's
Hmm.
triggering extra bites. So I mean, the proof is in the pudding when it comes to that kind of stuff. If you're believing that it's getting you more bites, you got to keep putting it on.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that your bait is one hue of color
Oh yeah,
throughout.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then when you add some of it to it, it breaks it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
it breaks. It's like camouflage in the all animals of every kind of animal in the Animalia have an ability to camouflage themselves, and that comes
Sure.
through irregularities in their coloring, their patterns, all that stuff. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the connection that I've always made with it, and I think the scent can't hurt you, and and glow can't hurt you. No part of it is going to negatively affect your bait. It's all
I
benefit.
totally agree. I feel like too, once they get it in their mouth, they're a little bit more, inclined to hold on to it.
Yep, it's just like why do Senkos catch so many darn fish? Well, because if you put a Senko in your mouth, there's salt. Everything in the world has salt. Like it's
Uh-huh.
no there's no difference. But
Sure.
so throughout this tournament, you mentioned in the past that you had made some little downsizing type of modifications to get more bites in certain scenarios rather than
Sure.
dropping down in weight size. Were there any key adjustments that you had to make during the day throughout this event to kind of keep the momentum going, keep the bites coming?
Yeah, I mean that final day of the tournament, I started in an area where on the second day I went through it. I knew in the past it had been a good area. It was just right up there below the BB Comer Bridge. I knew this little stretch had been good in the past. It's just deep hydrilla, like 10, 11 foot deep hydrilla, clean hydrilla, like current kind of just washes easily through it. Anyway, I knew it was a good area. I went in there the second day of the tournament on the end of the day. I had a long day because I was a late boat number, and I took like 7 bites punching through this stretch, and I culled like 2 or 3 times. I was like, man, this area has got some life in it. It has got some fish. Like I need to really think about fishing this tomorrow on the final day. Put this in my rotation potentially early. So I decided to start in there, and the first thing I noticed when I started in there was that I wasn't getting as many bites flipping. I was like
Right.
really kind of baffled what was going on. I didn't know if it must have been the timing windows. That was the only thing I could put together in my mind. So I started looking like I had been focusing really on the edges of the mats, that first
Yep.
4 to 3 to 5 feet of the mat, from the edge in about 5 feet. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
started like scanning the mat with my eyes, looking, for holes in the mat from where fish had blown up. And
Mm-hmm.
I started really noticing a bunch of those in this area. So I picked up a frog and I slowed down and I started my day out that final day, triggered a really good solid fish, like a 4 something pounder on a frog, which I mean, anytime you can start the day out with a 4 pounder in the boat, especially on that final day, I was like, this is one of the fish I need. I just need 4 more bites. So, I mean, it wasn't like a huge momentum swing, I wouldn't say, but it was like that get the wheels spinning, get things going. I put that fish in the boat. I ended up not getting any more bites on the frog, but my next bite flipping was like a 4 3/4. So I'm sitting on 2 really good fish, for like almost 9 pounds or something. And it's just, man, it was just like I said, that final day of the tournament was pretty surreal. I'm just gonna break it quickly down for you because it was one of the final fish that I put in the boat that final day of that competition was worth $110,000 at least. Um,
Man.
Man, I mean, it gives me chills thinking about it. I was flipping. I mean, I had those 2 fish from early in the morning for a long time. And I was just trying to generate another couple bites. I knew it was like, all right, I've got 2 of them in the boat. I need to generate 3 more bites. I've got a lot of time. So our check-in was like 2:30, 2:45, if I remember correctly. It was early on that final day. So I'm flipping, I'm flipping, I'm flipping. I'm like, all right, man, let me run down to this other little stretch, just trying to rack my brain about where I can generate another bite. Because it's just like, all right, let's just get another one. We just need one more, just like until I get to the 5. So anyway, I generate like a 2.5 pound bite. So I'm sitting on 3. My next bite's like a 3 pounder, uh, ridiculously strong fish, like locks me up in the mat. I thought it was a giant one. It ended up being just a solid 3 pounder. So at this point, I'm sitting on, 4 fish for, somewhere in the mid-teens, solid, but not enough. I knew that if I wanted to stay in the top 10, I think I went into the final day in like 7th place or 6th or something place. I knew if I wanted to stay in the top 10, I needed to catch somewhere around 17 to 18 pounds. So I was like, all right, if I get one more decent bite, like a 3 pounder, I'll probably stay in the top 10, which is a big payday. I mean, 10th place was $25,000. I was like, man, that'd be great if I just one more solid fish, I'll at least stay in the top 10. So I'm fishing down this little stretch, and I get to this clump and this isolated clump of grass, and I start flipping around it, and I turn to my right and I hear this boat running down. And I see this guy, he goes to start kind of coming in down from me a little ways, and I'm facing the other direction, mind you. So it doesn't look like I'm going that direction. So he has all the right in the world to go that way and stop down there. So as I see him coming down there, I'm like, man, I don't want him to really stop there and then come towards me, work up my backside and then work into this stuff that I'm planning on turning around and fishing. Because I hadn't got to what was behind me. I just kind of started on this isolated clump. I was going to work around the clump and then go back down towards where he was kind of pulling in. So I was like, shoot, I need to play a little defense here. I need to turn my boat around and start working that direction. So he turns and goes the other direction. So as I'm doing this, I mean, this story, like I have to tell it this way because if I don't, it doesn't put together, it doesn't make as much sense.
Right.
So as I'm working down, this guy ends up turning and going the other way. So I'm like, all right, good, my job's done. I've protected what I feel like is my stretch right here, my best water. So as I work around, I'm like, well, I didn't really get to fish that whole thing that I was on like I wanted to because I had to turn around and play defense on what it was that I was wanting to, this area. So I started working around this other clump. And if I had not turned around to play defense, I never would have made a whole lap around this next clump that I was on. I would have just gone down one side and kept going.
Right.
So anyway, I flip around this whole clump and I get back around to the other side. I had already flipped the point, where the current hits. The points where the current hits on Guntersville are like primo. That's where they're going to sit. They want to sit in that perfect little ambush spot on the tips of these mats.
Mm-hmm.
So I get back to this point. I flip in there and I start talking to my marshal. I'm like, man, I think I need to fish this next and probably go over here. And I lift it up and I drop it and I lift it up and I drop it. And on my like third lift, I lift it up to the top of the mat and the whole mat goes and like bulges. And I reel down and I pull this fish out of the mat and I had grass on it, so I couldn't really see it. And as I get it to the boat, I mean, I had been swinging everything. Like I was boat flipping all these fish. So I reel down to swing it. And I realized about halfway out of the water how big this fish was. And its bottom lip, it opens its mouth and its bottom lip catches on the rub rail of the boat. And I couldn't get it up. So I had to drop it back down in the water. I took another half turn of my reel and I swung it again. And it was a 7.6. And that was my limit fish. Man. So that bite, if I had not seen that guy play defense, I would never have made that lap. I never would have made that flip twice that I ended up doing in that one little spot. And that fish put that fish in the box. And I mean, that was big bass of the entire tournament by 2 ounces. Big bass of the day, which they didn't pay big bass of the event, but big bass of the day is worth $10,000. So it was a $10,000 fish. And if you take 7 pounds, 6 ounces off my total, because I never caught another keeper, I'm out of the top 10. I don't finish second. So that's $100-something thousand fish. That was one of the most memorable bites of my life.
And that's why punching is the best.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
You caught a 7.6 at the end of the day and you watch the whole mat bubble.
Yeah.
I just you just took me through that moment and I feel like I just lived it with you, man. That was awesome.
I knew it was, it's a good story. I've told it to a few people. I haven't been able to tell it to anybody on podcast, live like this before. So I'm glad I got to share that with you.
Yeah, that was absolutely awesome, man. Great finish. Great finish.
Thanks.
You got to do it in a what I will argue with is the funnest way to catch a bass. I think I actually like punching more than frogging. So it's cool to hear how it went down,
Well, thanks for picking my brain. I appreciate you having me on and wanting to hear about it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Hey, what are your where can people find you on the socials? Are you on everything across the board? And where can people find you at?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jacob Wall fishing across the board. I mean, Instagram is my primary platform. You can check me out on there, Jacob Wall fishing. I've got a YouTube channel. Need to get a little more active on it, but I do have a lot of content on there from the past.
Yeah.
Um, Facebook, same thing.
Cool.
Yeah, just check me out on there, give me a follow, and I'm
Awesome.
I'm pretty open with my content. I'm very open to share, and
Yeah.
people ask me questions. I'm a pretty open book. I mean, I don't hold stuff too close to my chest. So
Very, very cool. Well, Jacob, thank you for giving us a few minutes today. It was fun to walk back through that tournament with you, learn about how you got it done, and yeah, compare notes, man. It was fun. I hope to do it again. Hope to have you as a Bass U instructor sometime down the road. We'd love to have you in the mix
yeah,
with us.
I'd love to do that. That would be great. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we will catch you down the road, man. Good luck this year in your upcoming Bass Pro Tour schedule, and we'll be following along and rooting for you.
Thanks. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, guys, that was Jacob Wall. Super fun conversation there. It's always a pleasure for me, anyway, when you get to talk about punching, big rod, big line, big weight, and yeah, that was a fun one. So, guys, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and then we are gonna be right back with a few things going on. We might even get a check-in from PG and Big Dog Jake from the truck headed to Lake Martin, Alabama for the Insane tournament. Stay tuned.
We're off the clock to clock more fish, to fill our live wells and empty our coolers, because there's more to explore. The latest Humminbird fish finders work fast, see clearly, and know all the best spots. They fish even smarter paired with the Minn Kota and break down the water like never before. If you like your plans loose and lines tight, then it's time to explore. Only with Humminbird. Get right to the fight. New Mega Live 2 forward-facing sonar puts you on more fish with an ultra-clear, rock-solid picture of underwater action. Next-gen clarity, next-level fun. Only with Humminbird.
Do you love bass fishing? Then you have to check out Bass University.
Access over 1,000 bass fishing seminars and episodes.
Get discounts on the tackle from your favorite tackle brand.
Learn the latest techniques from the top pros.
And never stop learning.
And never stop learning. And never, ever stop learning. Welcome to the Bass University.
Welcome to Bass University.
Welcome to Bass University.
Welcome to the Bass University.
Welcome to Bass University.
The original Element rods were really Cashin's first launch, kind of in a price point level. With that, we got a lot of feedback. And that's what brought about the Element Z2 and its launch. The most affordable American-made rod on the market.
Mother Nature may be tough. I'm tougher. I'll take you where chaos is the cost of entry and where the fish are worth the fight. Because the bigger the question marks, the better the quest.
All right, welcome back to Bass University live, everybody. I think we got PG and Big Dog Jake with us in the tilted position. We're
Come on, guys. You're better than this.
we
You're
got
better than this.
portrait, but you got to unlock the screen.
You gotta unlock. Come on, Jake. You're a young man. You know how to do this stuff.
We're gonna let them sort that out.
While we're waiting for them, real quick, I just want to give a shout out to our veterans. It is Veterans Day, so thank you to all the veterans out there who serve. And that's all I got.
Yes, yeah. Thank you to the vets. That was a great one to note there, Justin. Yeah, that's an important one too. Jacob was aces. Kids.
Yeah, he's I checked out some of his content last night, and
yeah,
he dives into everything, man. He don't hold nothing back, and you can respect a guy like that. And I feel like a lot of the younger guys coming up are, the secrets they're more willing to share. Obviously, once we get them on the Bass University screen, they're sharing them. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Seems like a great dude and
Yep.
a punching maniac.
He's gonna be getting a phone call. We'll leave it at that. But
Yep.
yeah, it looks like they got their angle switched out. So let's bring them back in. The Bass University Mobile headed down to Lake Martin, Alabama. What's going on, boys?
Hey guys, we're getting there, man. We're halfway there, buddy.
Halfway, 6 hours left.
Yeah, it looks like Jake's been sleeping for most of the ride. I can tell.
Yeah, that's about right. 4 or 5 hours I've been asleep in this car.
Nice.
That's good. You need that energy, Jake.
All right, you got to be locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not happy about this arrangement. I need him to have another year on him so we can split this drive, man. This is We've been rolling since about 4 o'clock this morning, and we're making good time, man. We just come through Raleigh-Durham, and we're about halfway there. But you mentioned Veterans Day, and that's awesome, Justin. And I wanted to just express that it's awesome. Thank you, everybody, for all the services that are working for us out there that allow me and Jake to be doing stuff like this in this country. It's truly amazing. We got a chance to look at some of the Navy ships coming up the Delaware River with my father was a lieutenant commander in the Navy, and they got to look at some of those ships coming up the Delaware River with the Marines, celebrating 250 years of the Marines and the Navy. And that was amazing, awesome visual, awesome experience. And
nice.
Thank you guys for all that you do. Really appreciate that. And how about that Jacob, man? Holy crap. Thump Gel and under the mat, 7.5 pounders.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Me and Jake are listening to that story. We're like, we gotta transplant some mats down to Lake Martin this week.
Yeah, no doubt. Jacob was a really good interview. But Pete, tell us, what are you guys doing, man? Jake, you guys are headed down for a bass tournament, but there's a little bit more going on. It's not just a regular derb. What's going on?
Well, it's the Insane Tournament.
Yeah, the Logan Park's Insane Tournament. It's a lot of colleges are here, gonna get like quote unquote drafted and fish with a college guy, and it's gonna be a great experience. Hopefully, get a lot to learn from here. Gonna see a lot of colleges. I'm excited. It's gonna be quite the experience. It's gonna be awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Logan did a great job. He's got quite a team. We heard him on the tournament briefing last night, and we knew that there was a lot going on in this tournament. But this tournament is split into a couple different parts. There's 3 phases to it. It has similarities to all the tournament organizations, but it's broken up into like 3 periods, kind of like the MLF is. And the first 2 periods are catch all you can. Like every fish counts, everything over a pound counts towards your weight. And from there, you qualify. Your goal is to get into the final round. And when you get into the final round, it switches over to your best 5.
Cool.
So there's all kinds of strategies that, the kids are kicking around. Do I burn down the house in the first period, trying to get as many as I can, trying to qualify? How do I switch gears and fish for just big fish? On Lake Martin, it's hard to do, man. It's full of spots. The bigger largemouth and fish over 2 pounds are really that's the mark, right? A fish over 2 pounds on Lake Martin, it seems. So how are the kids gonna switch gears and try to target those big ones exclusively? It's gonna be a trick, especially because you can watch the last year's Open that took place down here. I think it was in October. on Lake Martin. The guys were targeting the bigger fish for that tournament, but man, a lot of them came early. And so now the boys are going to have to try to figure out how to get those bigger fish in the afternoon in this tournament. So, yeah, really cool, unique experience. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I'm excited to get involved and participate with Jake and see what's going on. But Logan's done an amazing job. All kinds of prizes and scholarships available. The biggest one being a random drawing gets Logan's boat, completely fully rigged out nitro with a Mercury and all the bells and whistles. So I think Jake's got his eyes on that one. Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Pretty cool. That's that's awesome. Keep us posted, man. We want to feel like we're there with you. We want to feel like we're dissecting and breaking this thing down. So keep us posted, man. We're going to be pulling for you from up here.
We'll keep you going. I'm going to keep feeding our social pages with images and video as we go through practice and everything that we got going on. And Jake, of course, is going to be lighting up his Instagram page. So he's Jake_Gluzek Fishing over there on Instagram. So give him a follow over there and check out everything he's got going on. And we're going to, one of the cool parts is we're going to be at Auburn University. Everything's taking place at Auburn. So we're going to be able to do a campus tour at Auburn, as well as we've got a campus visit scheduled for Montevallo after the tournament's over on our way home. So we're going to be able to take a look at a couple colleges, and we're going to be hooking up with our good friend Brooks Parker at Montevallo. He's going to be, meeting us there and showing us that campus. He's a senior there this year, and he is a last-minute entry. He was on the waiting list, and he got himself into the tournament. So I don't know. Maybe him and Jake will practice a day. I don't know. We're gonna see how that all plays out, but. We're having a blast. It's freezing cold. It's like 30 degrees down here still. And the cold front has come down. It's blasting them down in South Alabama right now too, but it's not going to last long. You know how it is. The cold fronts this time of year don't last very long down here. So it'll be in the 70s during the tournament. So it'll be fun. Nice mild weather. Spotted bass should be ganged up with this cold blast they just had. We'll see what the boys can do, but it should be a blast. I'll definitely keep you guys posted every step of the way.
Very, very cool. Well, you guys might as well just hang on with us here while we touch on just the last few items here. Justin, what we got for sub of the week? Who we got?
Sub of the week is going to Dylan and his pops.
That's D Grub, Extreme Outdoorsman. What's up, dude? That's awesome, man. Big smallmouth. I'm guessing that was on Lake St. Clair.
Yep.
That's where he does some serious damage there. And guys, speaking of sub of the week, Dylan is also a Bass U ambassador, so we're still taking applications for that program. Hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. And this week's release on Bass University is Joey Cifuentes selecting the right jig for the job. And specifically on Berkeley jigs and the different shapes and sizes. And we may or may not have chose this one because the Berkeley finesse jig is a really, really good jig. And I had my hands on it last year right before we decided to film this. And so if anybody's looking for a really good finesse jig, you might want to check out the Berkeley finesse jig on Tackle Warehouse. It's legit. So, yeah, that's all I got. Am I missing anything? Justin, PG?
Hey, man, it's coming, guys. Roku, Amazon, the upgraded app, upgraded features. It's all coming to Bass University real soon. We'll keep you guys posted. We're going through once again the final stages of testing for everything. Well, we think you guys are going to love it. Everybody that we've shown it to has been thrilled with it. And we've got some really great advancements in our lake breakdowns and our winter circle with some new content coming to you guys, featuring some of the greatest lakes around the country.
Yes.
So look for all that coming at Bass University TV, and we will keep you posted every step of the way.
Yeah. Hey, I think that wraps it up, guys. We'll see you next week with another edition of Bass University Live.